Hey everyone. We are the Sweet Tea Pod. My name is Brittany.
My name's Jen.
My name is Ibby.
Yay. Okay, so if you don't know who we all work with the publication called The Honey Pop. And I'm one of the co-owners. I also do music photography and website and a bunch of other things. I don't really know. Don't get into it. But I am based in Houston, Texas.
Yeah, I'm Jen. I am the editorial director at the Honey Pot, and I'm based in Liverpool, in England, in the northwest of England.
I'm Ibby. I'm one of the co-founders, co-owners, and I do a little bit of everything, and I am based in Atlanta in the US.
Okay, so why do we think Sweet Tea works as a podcast name?
Because, well, you're both from the south. I'm not, but my last name is Southern, so as in like it's actually Southern, and it's a little vibe. Plus, we get to sit and it's a good reason to sit and sip tea while we chat to each other about pop culture. So I think it's a win. I think it's very, very cute.
Yeah,
And Ibby came up with it.
Ibby did come up with it, and it was the best name out of quite a few in the running, and it just kind of, I think once Ibby had said it, it was like, okay, that's it. That's the one. So good job, Ibby.
Thank you. Thank you.
Spilling the tea, but it's sweet.
Yeah.
So true. So true.
I'm going to take the opportunity to show you my new mug.
Please do.
While we're talking about tea, because it has a squirrel on the handle.
Oh my God.
Did you name him?
That's my vibe. It's officially autumn, so a full.
Did you name your squirrel?
I've just been calling it squirrel, but in the way that they say it in like Ice Age. Squirrel. Yeah. Is it Ice Age?
Isn't it up?
It is up. Yes. Okay. Cut that bit. So yeah. I intend to have a different mug each week.
I love that. I only have two mugs, and one of them has my K-pop boy's face on it. So
yeah, this is the only non-Harry Styles based mug that I own. So
the other one has the church I went to as a kid.
Yeah.
Neither of them are very fun. Well, K-pop boy fun. That fun. But
you ever go into somebody's house and they have all matching mugs and you're like,
it's scary.
I don't know how to have a conversation. Yeah.
Terrifying.
You just like you have someone make you a cup of tea and you're just looking like, I gotta go.
Yeah.
Please, we match. I can't do
Same
this.
with like matching cups, because we don't have matching cups. We have one set, but all the rest are like fucking weird. And yeah. And somebody pulls out like a glass like cup for a glass of water, and I'm like,
no.
Bougie.
No. Or yeah. Black latte mug without a handle. That seems to be bougie. No, it burned in my hand. Give me a mug. Okay.
Very true. I don't like
that was a good, interesting 10-minute conversation about mugs. I do apologize.
No, we're gonna keep that in. So I guess our next topic, because it's still kind of like intro vibes. Who do we stan? Who's at the top of my list?
What fandoms are you in, Britt?
I'm in so many. Genuinely, I have a problem. I love music. So I'm gonna put this as a disclaimer. I love music and I like all forms of music. Like pretty much every genre I like someone in. Yeah. I'm not a huge like EDM fan, but like I respect it. So let me just so Water Parks is first. They're my like pop punk boys that I've loved for like a decade. One Direction plus Solo, Jonas Brothers, Taylor Swift. I have one more. Oh no. Oh my God.
Big fan.
I'm just gonna say Renee Rapp right now because like I'm on a high with her. Like I have been listening to her discography for like a week straight, and like she can sing. Like I can see her going so far. And I'm just like really obsessed with her right now. So I'm just gonna put her on my like top 5 because like she is a top 5 like this half of the year for sure. And her new album is really good, so go listen to it.
What's it called?
It is called Snow Angel. And the cover of it is just iconic. She's just an iconic human being, so I love her.
Amazing. Okay, so top 5 or top 7-ish. Number 1 through 5 or 6, One Direction and all its individual members represent love on tour. And then sort of other non-One Direction related, although they are all One Direction adjacent. There's a theme here. Ash, who some of you will know the song Moral of the Story that she did with Niall Horan, and Only the Poets, who toured with Louis Tomlinson. So there is a theme. I'd say they're beyond One Direction related people and solo and all that. They are my sort of 2 non-Direction people that I followed on tour, and I support and love. So that's me. It's fairly sort of boxed into one very specific genre. I do listen to other music. I like country. I love Carrie Underwood. Like Eminem. I do Eminem when I've had a little bit too much wine on karaoke. That's my kind of vibe. But generally, One Direction in most aspects of life.
Cool. My favorite artist, my number 1, everybody knows this. I will pick a favorite and it's SHINee. They love them. Great guys, cool guys. Big K-pop fan, so you'll see there'll be a couple K-pop groups listed in here. The rest are not in order at all. I don't know that I could sort them, but I'm gonna say Jaguar Twin. Actually, I'd lie. He's probably almost tied with SHINee, but Jinky. What am I supposed to do? Jaguar Twin, 5 Sauce, 80s, another K-pop group, and I'm on a really big IVE kick right now, like the K-pop girl group IVE. I saw that I saw them when I went to Madrid back in July, and I have just been obsessed with them ever since, and I listen to them constantly. Oh, one more. Zero Base One, obsessed with them right now too. Their song In Bloom has been on repeat for like 6 days straight. Crazy.
See, because we had to cut ourselves off, I couldn't say Jaguar Twin or 5 Sauce, and I'm really sad because I do love them. So if they watch this for some odd reason, I do love you. I promise.
I do like 5 Sauce.
They're good.
I sort of had to make a life decision at the time, but it would have been very easy to become a 5 Sauce stan. They are, they're on my playlist.
Oh yeah.
So respect.
Constant. And on my daily playlist that Spotify makes me because I listen to them so much.
Yeah.
I love it.
My like daily mix 4 is all the music I listened to as a teenager, and but it still has like 5 Sauce, even though I still listen to 5 Sauce. It's nothing but 5 Sauce, Panic, Fall Out Boy, like all of the old shit that I used to listen to, and it's great. It's a great time.
Oh yeah.
We all have an emo heart in there. I was 18 when One Direction got together, so I did have a music taste before One Direction, and it was mainly like My Chemical Romance, Fall Out Boy, the Rasmus, Panic at Disco. Yeah.
Oh, my pop punk heart is loving this. Okay. We won't keep talking about pop punk because it's rough out here. So next topic is celebrity encounters.
I have one.
Okay, go for it.
So I met Ash,
Ooh.
who obviously was in my list earlier, so that was incredible. It was genuinely one of the best days. It was the very first concert after the second lockdown ended. I went down to London. I was on my own, and it was, I think, the first concert I ever went to alone. And she was doing a record signing in a record store not far from where she was playing that night. So we went in, we got ages to talk to her. She said, "Oh, are you from the Honey Pop?" And I nearly passed out on the floor, and she sang my record, and it was just an amazing day. And then I went to the concert that night, and out came Niall Horan on stage unexpectedly, and my ghost still lives in the venue, and will forevermore. My soul was left there. So yeah, that was my little interaction with Ash. I got a lovely photo, which I'm sure we can insert somewhere. So yeah, and she was lovely. And she's on a break at the minute. She cancelled her last tour. It's taking some personal time, so I'm hoping that she comes back when she feels ready and we get some music and get some news from her, because yeah, I think all of her fans miss her at the minute. Next.
Ibby, do you have any?
I have so many. I'm trying to figure out which one I would like to bring up.
I don't meet the artists anymore. I used to, like back in my my travel days when I would travel all over the United States for people. But that was like almost a decade ago now. Now that I think about it, that was, I mean, from like 2011 to 2016, I was heavily involved in like specific fandoms that the bands no longer exist. But I mean, I still follow all their work like now, but like the bands are broken up, unfortunately. But this one band, Paradise Spheres, gets together, or they're starting to get together again every year. They used to, when they before, like after they broke up, they did like this yearly like reunion type thing where they would do 3 shows in the US, and like everyone travels for them who like used to grow up, like we grew up with them. Like they've been to my house, they did house parties. Every time I see them, like they're just incredible human beings, and I love them. And I love that we've grown up together and we're all doing things in music. And then I'm trying to think who else to like bring up. Water parks, I love them. Like, and I know them, but like they're just incredible people. And I love getting to go to the hometown shows. Even if I ever move out of Houston, I will always go to the hometown shows because they're just on another level. And I used to like would meet them after the show, like in the beginning, and they were just always just so kind and so like willing to talk to people. And I don't know, I like it.
That actually reminded me of I mean, I met water parks a couple of times, but that like reminded me of the time that I met water parks at Warped Tour. I was working in the catering tent, and they just came and like sat down, and just like we didn't have anything to do. It was between meals, so we were just kind of sitting there too. And they were like, "So what are you guys doing? Like, what's up?" And just sat and talked to my friend and I for like half an hour, I guess. I don't even remember what we talked about anymore, but they were so nice. And I like, they left, and I was like, "Who was that?" And she was like, "You don't know who water parks are?" And I was like, "That was water parks? That's crazy.
Oh,
That's crazy." I knew like one song, and I was like, wow.
it might
Wow,
have been
that was
better that
crazy.
you didn't know who they were at the time.
Yeah, probably. Probably. Celebrity encounters besides that, because that's a Brittaney realm. I need one like a me realm. I've met so I've been a fan. Speaking of Jaguar Twin, since I said he was one of my favorite artists, been a fan of his for a really long time. Even before he was Jaguar Twin. Saw him when he opened for Five Sauce back in the day, back in like, what was that, like 2016, I think. Like it was a long time ago. I went out to California to that show because he wasn't performing at the Southern dates. Like I went, oh my God, I love that man so much. Great guy. But we had interacted a couple of times online, but we finally met in person for the first time in May, and it was probably my favorite like experience meeting like quote unquote like celebrity. Like he doesn't feel like a celebrity, he's just so real. Like I love him so much. It was a really great experience. Brittany was with me for that. That's why she's like face palming over there because we were together for that. But I remember getting in the car afterwards and he had hugged me so tight that I could still smell his cologne on my shirt after we got in the car, and like so long. He's just such a great guy, and he's so
Do you
sweet.
ever wash that shirt, or do you still have it now? So
I did, unfortunately, because I really, really liked that shirt. But it did smell really good. He wore really nice cologne, and I would like to know what it is so I can smell it again. It was really nice. He smelled great.
Yeah, he was so personable. Like
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he interacts online with everyone, so like he kind of knows of people, but like it's hard to like know like your like really small profile photo. Like it's really hard to like know who people are. And like once you said your name, he was just like, oh, wait. He's like, hold on. We've interacted before. And I was like, yeah, we
Oh,
have.
that's so sweet.
He's so incredible. And it was so like nice to see like Ibby. Like I was like just on the side being like, oh my God, I'm so happy for you. Like
I'm so surprised I didn't cry. So surprised I didn't cry. So special to me. I freaking love that guy. There's a bullet coming. I jump in front of it. Don't when I say my man, I mean like in a like my man, not like in a my man type way, but like don't take my man. Don't do that.
Who was Jaguar Twin before he was Jaguar Twin?
Roy English. And then before that, I Alaska. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, that was pre Roy English was his band I Alaska, which I have an album, like one of their albums somewhere. I don't know where after the move, but love him.
I was going to say let's dig some things out for future podcasts, but I don't know if I want to start trying to tidy my house to find things.
Yeah, I have a bookshelf behind me that I haven't set up yet. It was supposed to be my backdrop, but there's a bunch of boxes blocking it, and I didn't feel like moving them. So I was like, blur background.
Life. Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Gives us something to look forward to for the next one.
So do we have any more celebrity encounters we want to talk about?
I met Liam Payne once. Do you guys not know that?
No, hold on.
Talking to two directioners. I've known you for 2.5 years.
I have the picture somewhere. I didn't know you guys didn't know.
I've been a fan for how long? And I've known you for how long?
I'm sorry. I thought you guys knew. This was back in... What year did Strip That Down come out? Do we know? I'm going back in my camera roll.
Oh my God. I cannot believe we've known you for so long.
I'm sorry. I really thought you guys knew.
I was meant to meet him in 2021 at the Royal Albert Hall. He was doing a charity concert and we were invited, and then I got COVID and couldn't go. I'm about to live very vicariously through Ibby.
Yeah.
And then cry.
I think if I met any of them, I would pass away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would love to work with them, but I would have to like desensitize myself for a second. Like, let me take your photo, but like, let me breathe.
Yes, I want to interview Louis Tomlinson.
Oh my God, I want.
And then I can just stop. I don't have to do anything else ever again after that. That's it.
I just want a photo. I just want to take a portrait of him. Like, let me pose you for a second, and like,
it's given Titanic.
I would cry, and he'd be like, "We're never doing this again."
We could just do an insert here. And then
I know, but I'm upset, and now I want to find it because I found the year. It's 2017. Because I went to North Carolina right after. Where's
2017. Is he wearing the pain chain? Because if he is, I'm gonna actually just cry.
I don't.
You got the pain chain in a photo? I would just pass away. I would never have to do anything after that. Like,
it was a radio station like meet and greet. When Strip That Down came out, we were one of the first like groups of fans that got to hear Strip That Down. If I were to throw out one more, this one's a fun story, and I love this story. I met ATEEZ on their first US tour. They had High Touch, which for the non-K-pop fans, that's where the group basically stands in a line and you walk down and high-five them and can talk to them for like 0.3 seconds. It's not a lot, but it's usually the best you'll get for a K-pop group meet and greet wise, unless they miraculously do a fan sign. This was ATEEZ's first tour. They'd only been a group for like 6 months at this point. but they were already my second favorite K-pop group. They had dethroned like every other K-pop group but SHINee, like in the span of 6 months. It was bad. It was bad. I am down bad. But I went with 5 or 6 of my closest friends, and we all went through the high touch line together. I was actually on crutches. I had an injury, like a foot injury, and there was a big bar that was like about up to here, so none of them could see like anything below my neck because of that bar. And I rounded the corner, and my favorite member was like, hi, and was like just like horrified that I had come around like in crutches. Going through that line was crazy because they were all very accommodating, and so that I wouldn't have to stop in front of each one of them, they were like leaning across each other to make sure that it would be easier for me to like make my way through the line. And security was like yelling at me and rushing me to get through. The death glares that these men gave them were like, I was scared and they were mad for me, not mad at me. I was scared. I was like, and then we like finally like get through. I had like a nice little moment with a couple of members where they were like, are you okay? Like, are you good? And I was like, yeah, I'm good. I'm fine. I'm ha ha ha. And then my dear friends come behind me, which they had strategically gone behind me because they knew it would take me longer to get through. And they were like, I can talk to my man a little longer. My dear friend Han is just a couple people behind me, and he gets through the like line of members, and immediately, as soon as he's like 5 feet from the table, he drops and just falls like straight on his ass, like in front of them, where like Hongjung from ATEEZ is like looking over like, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you good? And he's sitting there like on the verge of tears, and I'm like, bro, you gotta get up. Dude, you gotta get up. You're making Hongjung shit himself. You gotta get up, bro. You can't sit there anymore.
See, that is what would happen to me every time I met anyone. I know it would. Try to actively avoid situations.
Same.
Like, I will fall over in front of you. You will laugh at me. Yeah, no.
It's one of my favorite. That's one of my favorites because it's like, first of all, they were so nice. Second of all, I scared the crap out of Jongho by coming around the corner on crutches, and then my friend busting his ass and making all of the members really, really concerned about his well-being. Just really, really funny. Great experience. 10 out of 10.
Yes,
Who's that?
I love that, actually. That's so funny to me. And I love the fact that like your friends were behind you because they knew. Because like that's something that I would have done. I've been like, you're slow, like you better take your time.
It was actually me. I was like, you guys should get behind me because I'm gonna take longer and you can talk to your favorite member a little bit more. And they were like, oh my god, you're so smart. You're so smart.
I would have been like, you're on crutches. You first be like, I'm behind you to support you.
It's in case you fall.
Yeah, if you fall, I'm right here to catch you, girl.
There were stairs leading up to it, so reasonable excuse.
Yeah, for sure.
It's the one story where having some sort of mobility issue actually ends up becoming a plus for the opportunity. That's very rare.
It for real.
Yeah, use it where you can.
Okay, so should we move on to our next topic?
Yeah.
Okay, so the next topic is music pick of the week. I guess I can start first. I actually chose a genre I'm not like, I mean, I'm familiar with, like, because it's country, like it's pop country or whatever. But I don't listen to country music very often. So I picked this one because I just loved his voice. Like his voice is just really great. His name is Ben Goldsmith. He has an album. What is it called? Hold on, let me get what it's actually called. You can probably hear my cats, hopefully not.
My cat might be able to hear my dog downstairs as well. All of the animals are going wild.
Yeah, my cats, every time I'm like on with like talking to someone, they're just like have to be involved in some way as playing with their toy. Okay, so Ben Goldsmith is 17 years old. He's a pop genre bending artist, and he has a lot of country feel to him. Because he's with like Sony Music Nashville, and his album is releasing September 22nd, and it is called The World Between My Ears. And he co-wrote each of the 15 songs. And I think my favorite right now is track 3, One Day Believer. I don't know why, it's the one that just like has popped out. Like I need to listen to it a few more times to kind of like live with it. But so far, I really like that song, and I don't really know why, but like he's really talented. I know why he's signed right now.
And that's a long album track list as well, 15 songs.
15 songs, but he co-wrote it, and then he co-produced it as well. So like I think that's super cool, as like him being so young. He's already played at Bonnaroo. Yeah, just like reading his like bio thing, I was like, who are you? Who are you? Because I need to listen to you right now, because how are you already at Bonnaroo? It's your debut album. Like, so this is the first thing you've ever really put out other than some like singles.
Yeah.
You're already signed with Sony Music Nashville. Like, insane.
17.
17.
Incredible.
But yeah, I need everyone to go listen to him. Just I'm so excited about this album. It's something that's not as like something that I wouldn't necessarily reach for on the daily basis, but like, oh my gosh, it's gonna be on my playlist for sure.
Amazing. I love the fact that you've picked one that's sort of a slightly different genre for you.
Yeah,
we should try and do that. I'll try and do that next week.
I wanted to make it fun because I already knew like there's very specific people releasing. So I was like, no, we're not going to talk about them.
Yeah.
All right, we already know I love them, so.
Amazing. Okay, so the one that I picked is by an artist called Lay. I assume that's how you say it, Laye. And she is an alt pop singer from Montreal in Canada. I feel like I butcher the way that I say that. So you both say that place, please.
Montreal?
Yeah. Okay, I did say it right. Okay. It just feels weird saying it in my accent. So her new album, Losers, comes out on the 22nd. I've been like fully in on this album for the last couple of days. I had a bath with it on this morning. It was lovely. And yeah, it's a quite short track list. As one of the, I guess, sort of the lead single for it, came out a couple of days ago, I think. I don't know the date of when that single came out, but the album comes out on the 22nd. Single's called You're My Achilles Heel. My favourite song on the actual track listing, let me get my little notes up because I made notes in the bath. My favourite the favourite song on it is called Backseat Driver. I highly recommend it. If you are a Billie Eilish fan, I think you'll really like this artist. If you're an Ash fan like I am, I think you'll really like this artist. I'm very, very impressed by it. It is an 8-song album track list, so it's quite a short one, but actually I think it works really well. The song, where's it gone? Touching Myself is second on my sort of favourites. It's given sort of the Billie Eilish slower songs in places, but a little bit sort of, I guess it is alt pop, so it's given a little bit of emo in there. Some like sort of heavier choruses. I really, really liked it. It's a good sort of evening playlist when you're sort of winding down for the day. Maybe you're having a nice cup of tea. Oh, tea, see. Yeah, highly recommend. So that's Lay. The album is called Losers. It's out on the 22nd, and the album You're My Achilles Heel is already out. So highly recommend. Have a little look at that. I will be continuing to play it for quite a while after we've finished with the pod, because yeah, I think it's great. Her voice is stunning, and some of the tracks have got violin, which is I'm a sucker for strings. Put strings in a song, I'm there. Yeah, so that's my little pick of the week.
My pick of the week's a little different, because I didn't prepare as well as I wanted to. I did bad. However, I'm just going to, I guess, highlight it's already released. But I'm just gonna highlight Good and Great by Keybum. It is a really good like pop like anthem, I guess. Like not maybe anthem's the wrong word. But it's got a lot of like I don't know, it's very feel good, and the music video is a little bit trippy, which I always love music videos that trip me out. They're some of my favorites. I'm obsessed with it. I think it's great. Yeah, this has been a long anticipated comeback by me. Keep'em's one of my favorites. So highly recommend.
What genre is that?
It's K-pop.
Okay, yeah.
So should we move on to live albums?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is the one that I'm going to struggle with.
Yeah, so this was difficult for me. Because I tried to stick with kind of my top artists just to kind of make it easy. Because there are a lot of good live albums, but then there's also there's certain artists that I love that just don't have actual live albums. So we're just gonna go down my list. Some of them technically probably don't count, but like it's fine. Like they count in my heart. Because
And that's what matters.
they are live though. It's just not like it's not what I think of a live album, but it's fine. It's technically one of them is that way. So the first one on my list, and this is like nostalgia purposes. I don't know if you would say it's like the best of the best of the best, but like it's my personal best. Is Jonas Brothers Music from the 3D Concert Experience, just because that is highly like something that I would listen to all the time. I watched that movie so many times as a child. I mean, I was a teen, so I wasn't really a child, because I'm the same age as them. But like, like that was like my movie. Same with like the Hannah Montana movie and all of those. But it's like the Jonas Brothers one. I still have the DVD. I still have like the actual album. I still have like all of my memorabilia from them. So it's like that one's it's like a little sweet spot in my heart for that one. My next one is Halsey's Hopeless Fountain Kingdom Live from Webster Hall. Okay, Halsey's vocals are just insane. Like they are literally incredible. I don't listen to live albums often anymore, but like that one is a constant repeat just because of like their vocals are insane. And then Five Sauce, The Feeling of Falling Upwards live from Royal Albert Hall. That was a mouthful. Great, love it. Then Taylor Swift's Folklore Long Pond Sessions. I cannot talk today. I'm so sorry. Like, that one is insane, and that album actually got a lot of people kind of. I mean, everyone knew Taylor Swift, obviously, or knew of her. They might not have been fans of her, but I think that album and then that, like the Long Pond Sessions, I think that is what kind of changed the trajectory of her career in recent times, is because people who would say, oh, I don't like Taylor Swift, she's just like, or they would say like not nice things about her. That album, I think, changed people's like ideas about her songwriting, her vocals, her like the whole era of that, I think really changed everything and is how Taylor Swift became Taylor Swift today. And then this is my one that might not count, but I like it. Is Demi Lovato's Spotify sessions. They did like the Spotify session thing, so it's live. It's just I don't know. It's not like a true album.
It counts.
But yeah, they just like did live versions of their songs, and I just think it's really good, and I like Demi Lovato a lot, so I don't know. I was like,
Respect.
I put those on my playlist though, so it's like I think it counts.
I think if you actively listen to it and it is live, even if it's not technically an album, I think it counts.
Yeah, so that one does count in my eyes. All right, who's next?
Me? I don't have that many, but I do have some. So the first one, this is cheating. It's not really an album. It's a song on an LP, I guess you'd put it. Is on One Direction's Midnight Memories vinyl, which is seemingly quite a rare vinyl. Not many people seem to have it. It's the little sort of mini disc vinyl. Obviously, it's got Midnight Memories on it, but then it's also got Rock Me live from the This Is Us movie. So from so the performance the performance was live, but in the movie, and then they've taken the song. Yeah, you get what I mean. I just love that you can hear the crowd, and it feels very, very sort of warm and fuzzy and nostalgic. And also with the fact it's on the Midnight Memories one, the fact that they didn't release that as a vinyl is my villain story. But the little sort of mini, I think it's got an Midnight Memories and the normal Rock Me, and then the B-side is the live from This Is Us. And they're dressed up like little rockers on the vinyl, and it's just adorable.
I have
so
I have
yeah,
it too.
I've got it somewhere. I'd packed down. I've got a big vinyl collection, and then I was decorating, and I've packed them all down. I've not put them back up yet. Otherwise, I'd grab it and be like, "This is one I prepared earlier." But I can't. So that's one of them. It's not really sort of isn't live album. It's anyway. And then the only other ones really are Only the Poets. They've done quite a couple of LPs or EPs of different live stuff, different ones, sort of ones from different tours that they've done. So they've got the Only For You EP, which was recorded live. I think that's got like 5 live tracks on it from tour. And then there's also the Feels Like Home tour live EP. And I was at the Feels Like Home tour. That was phenomenal. And I think that sort of era with the music they were releasing then is my favourite Only the Poets music. So I highly recommend checking Only the Poets out if you don't know who they are already, which they're a recently signed band. They were independent the first time I saw them, and when I first became a fan. And then they've sort of taken off as they deserve to have taken off. But they've got a couple of different live albums now, and I'm actually going to their first ever vinyl signing for their first ever vinyl, because independent artist vinyls are so expensive. This is something I didn't realise when sort of independent artists are releasing music, because a lot of the time it's self-funded. It's so expensive to do vinyl pressings, which I think is that had gone completely over my head that would be the case, but it makes sense that it would. Anyway, so now that they're signed and they've really taken off, they're about to announce a new tour. They've got a actual vinyl coming out, so I'm going to go and do the signing in October and next month, so that'll be quite good. So it's not really 5, it's sort of I guess like 2.5, but that's the best I can do, because there's not that many sort of live albums in the little fandoms that I'm in. Little fandoms, Directioner, not that little, but if One Direction could please release a live album, and then I'll include it next time, that'd be great.
I love that you mentioned Rock Me, because that one live, yes. I mean, it's one of my favorite songs regardless, because it's just like such a good track.
Yeah.
But like them singing that live, oh my gosh, like I've rewatched those concert videos and like the movie and like all that, like I rewatch those all the time. Like anytime it's like the Tom Holland lip sync battle, when it comes on your timeline you have to watch it.
Yes,
and
that is my Roman Empire.
This is like my ADHD brain, sorry. But like that is, I mean, I honestly also just watched the lip sync battle because it came on my timeline, and you can't just skip it. Like you have to watch it.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel about that song, and like that, like the live version, like you can't, that is unskippable, that you are not allowed to skip it.
Yeah.
At all.
And I think there's a lot to be said for the fact that they are the ones that they decided to put together, because it was such a big turning point in their sound. And obviously with Louis and Liam getting a lot more invested in the writing, spending a lot more sort of focus and priority on the writing. We all know, I mean, preaching to the choir, isn't it, that that was sort of very fundamental in it all. But I think the fact that Rock Me was one of the first heavier sounding songs that they had. And it even more so when it was live on stage. So I think the fact that they put those together as sort of the Midnight Memories, the studio version of Rock Me, and then the live version of Rock Me, it was like the most energy they put out on a it's not an album, is it, but a mini album, whatever that term is. So yeah, I live for that. And isn't it, if you think sometimes, like, if that third album, if Midnight Memories hadn't been a thing, what would the history of One Direction end up looking like? That blows my mind sometimes. When this thing on TikTok, and it's like asking men how often they think about the Roman Empire, that is my Roman Empire.
Yeah, that's mine.
Yeah.
I'm
like, but also Tom Holland.
Like,
yeah,
and the Tom Holland. I think about that all the time. That's just an iconic piece of pop culture history. Like, so good, so good. All right, Ibby, what are yours?
Okay, so I do have 5. One of them is not technically an album. It was never released as an album, but it is a DVD. Like, there's a DVD of the show, so I'm counting it in that regard. 2 of them are by the same artist because I'm down bad, atrocious, terrible, awful. My number 1, nothing will ever top her. She is the queen to me, is Shiny World 4. It's where we got the iconic "Excuse Me, Miss." We got them putting on tails and pretending to be dogs while they sang "Woof Woof."
Sorry?
It was an experience. A lot of Shawwals will make fun of that song. I personally think that it's iconic. It's also the first question. Hold on. It's right there. Hold on. Is it the first time they performed my favorite song, or did they do it in Shiny World 2? No, it's the first time they performed my favorite song, which is Wow Wow Wow. Well, okay, one of my favorite songs. One of my favorite songs of theirs that's not, like, that doesn't make me sad. Because a lot of their music they're like ballad. They have a lot of ballads because they're all exceptional vocalists. But Wow 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 is a very light and fun, cute song, and that's one of my favorites that doesn't make me want to cry every time I hear it. And that's the first and only time that we got that performed with Shiny World 4. Just a great album overall. That one actually was an album. My second one is Shiny World 5. And that's because it's just good. That's the one that's not technically an album. It is a concert DVD, but it's iconic. It's outstanding. Pretty sure that that's the one where Minho humps the stage. Not entirely sure if I'm remembering that right. It might have been it might be Shiny World 4, actually. Either way, Shiny World 5 is a queen. She slays, she's serving, she's working. Bills paid, rent was due. My third one is Big Bang 0 to 10, the final in Seoul. That's one that was released as both an album and a DVD. Anytime that I'm sad, I will put that DVD on. I love Big Bang 0 to 10. There's a lot that's gone on with Big Bang. There's a lot of people that don't like Big Bang. Understandable for a lot of different reasons. But because I grew up, I found Big Bang when I was like 10, 11, something like that. I've grown up with Big Bang. Regardless of what happens, there's always going to be a part of me that's really attached to them. I am still very attached to the majority of the group. But Big Bang 0 to 10 final, they're just, I wish, like anything, that I had gotten to see them before everything like happened with them. I won't go into that on here because it's just a lot. But that's one of my biggest regrets, is not getting to see them prior to that. Their shows just looked like so much fun. And 0 to 10 final really just nails that in. It's a great album, and like my personal favorite, not to shout out a specific track, but their encore coming on and performing Bebe at the very end. They're on something. They're so weird. Fucking love that song. Freaking love that song. Love them. Like, love that album. I also, of course, have The Feeling of Falling Upwards. I was initially gonna say Live Sauce, and then I was like, let me be a grown-up for a moment and step back and think about this. Do I really want to say Live Sauce, or do I want to say The Feeling of Falling Upwards? The answer was The Feeling of Falling Upwards, but Live Sauce was almost there. She was almost there. What I Like About You almost got me. And then my last one is Exology Chapter 1, The Lost Planet, which not that that's going to be recognizable, but it's an EXO live album, and it has one of my favorite live performances from anyone ever on it, and it is, they remember Dio, who his name is Kyungsoo, but his stage name is Dio, and he's performing an R&B song called Tell Me What Is Love, and it is so good. So good. I highly would recommend that. I'm not even a like super huge R&B fan, but that song and the way that he vocally delivers just goes so hard that entire album was not like saved, like it wasn't a good album, but I mean, like, that album is here because of that song. I love that song. So good. And those are my 5.
Perfect.
Good.
Okay. Those are good. Yeah, I almost said Live Sauce as well, and I was like, don't do that. I was like, let's be a little professional.
Let me not be like 500 Years of Winter, the pizza song. Let me not do that right now.
Yeah. No.
Oh, okay. Is it silly? I'm outside of the fandom, so I don't have context.
It's just, it was their first live album. And was that from Rock Out With Your Socks Out tour? It was, right? Like, that's old as hell.
Yeah.
It's not like a spoof thing like Five Souls. It's got like
genuine performances on it. It's just they also have the performance of like the pizza song.
Right.
Let's see. I forgot about Meet You There tour. I'm satisfied with my list, but that's also got Live Sauce also has Teenage Dream on it.
Yeah.
Do you want to take back your selection, or are you sticking with it?
I'm sticking with The Feeling of Falling Upwards. It's got Feeling of Falling Upwards has Carousel. What can I say?
Oh my gosh. So when I went to the show, my friend, we both went in blind, because we didn't want to know like what was the set list or anything like that. I don't often do that, especially when I'm like photographing the show. I don't often go in blind because I want to know at least what the first 3 songs are, because I can kind of get the feel of like, okay, what's the vibe gonna be like in the pit? Like, but I went completely blind. Zero idea. I mean, I obviously knew their songs, but like it was like zero idea if they were even gonna be on the set list, where they were gonna be at, how they were gonna get into them, like all that kind of stuff. And my friend also went in blind, and she was like, that song Carousel, like she's like that wasn't one that I would often like play. Like if it came on shuffle, okay, like I'll listen to it, but she's like, that's not one I would ever gravitate towards. But she's like, listening to it live, she's like, another level. She's like, okay, that's my favorite song. And I was like, okay, bet. I was like, I love that. But I love that like the live versions of these tracks that we all like love and adore, and the live versions give just an extra like oomph to them. Like I don't know how to explain it. Like it just gives an extra little something to it.
That's actually something they talked about at like my sound check. Was like the difference between their live music and their studio. And Ashton straight up was like, record labels don't like the music that we want to put out. Like that's what it is. So when we go live, that's we do the music that we want to do, not what the label wants us to do. And he was like, we're able to perform what we want and still release music that the record label tolerates and lets us do. And I was like, that like you can tell, like especially like their Live from the Vault like releases, like Teeth and Easier just go like, especially Teeth, that Live from the Vault goes so hard. And then
even I know that
the studio's good, obviously, like it's a great song, but nothing compares to that, like hearing that live. It's their music is so much better live. And it's such a shame that record labels stick their hands in so much that they have to water down the music that they want to release just to get some like equivalent of screen time, essentially. Like
Gosh, because if they went as hard as they do in the live versions as they do on the studio albums, like some of these songs would be my favorite. Like
Yeah.
some of them I'm like, I like them. Like if they come on my playlist or like a shuffle or whatever, like I'll listen to them, but they're not my favorite
Yeah.
song.
Yeah.
But like when you're in that crowd and you're hearing them go as hard as they do, especially Ashton on drums, are
Oh my
you kidding me?
Yeah.
That man can drum. And I'm just like, I'm just watching him and I'm just like, he's going so hard. Like, how is he not like, I have asthma. I would like actually die. Like, but it's like, you guys, I was like, what am I listening to? Is this a new song? Because this is not the song that I'm used to. And it's just like, oh my gosh, if they could, I don't know, if the record labels and like the execs could just, I don't know, I don't know if they just don't enjoy music anymore. I don't understand. But I'm like, if
I don't
you
get it.
just be
Yeah.
in the crowd when they're doing this kind of stuff, you will understand what the fans are telling you and being like,
Yeah.
you need to let them just do it.
You'll have commercial success because it's those fans that will buy it.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
It's very like Louis Tomlinson with Faith in the Future. He's spoken about the fact that that album is exactly what he wanted to do live. It was written for the purpose of being performed live.
Oh, yeah.
And he was given a lot of freedom. And then when he was about to release, I think it was either Bigger Than Me or Out of My System, he was supposedly told that it sounded a bit too heavy. And he laughed about that because he thinks it's one of the least heavy songs on the album. But that was written purely for exactly what he wanted to do and exactly what he wanted to do live and how that will come across in the shows. The same as sort of a lot of One Direction stuff, although obviously there was a lot geared towards the commercial success that One Direction had. Let's not sort of be daft about it. But a lot of the sort of the change in they were still pop. There's nothing wrong with being pop. Honey Pop, we love pop. But they went into that more rockier genre as well, with the aim of filling stadiums. They were stadium anthems. Mm-hmm. So it was still a lot of, I think, the favourite artists, even though we're all in different fandoms, a lot of the similarities are that they either write for the purpose of live shows or they take the weight of how important live shows are and they do the songs so like with a little bit of magic sprinkled, as the only way I can describe it, with the songs that maybe weren't initially intended for that. They were more for knowing that they would have commercial success. But it's so different in live shows. And I think since sort of tours coming back from COVID and there being a very sort of, with TikTok and things, with the big push of tour content, there's a lot more discussion happening about how will these songs come across live, and that to us and to me and to both of you as live music lovers, really exciting. Mm-hmm. But I hope that labels lean into that a little bit more. Like we've got the BMG are having quite open discussions about that now. Louis Tomlinson has said about the fact that he felt he could do that with that label. And I just hope that more of those kind of labels and those kind of conversations start happening a little bit more, because it makes a difference. And the success that a lot of people are seeing now is because of the promise of their tours, in my opinion. People are excited more about tours and what that album will sound like than they are about sitting streaming it sometimes. So I think it's a really interesting, promising, I think it's going to snowball a little bit more too. So I'm excited for what happens next. I'm very excited to hear Niall's album live. I think that is going to slap live. And I've got a couple coming up next year, so I'm very excited to see how all of that music translates.
No, I definitely agree, because like with Louis' album, when I first listened to it through, I tried to like not read interviews at first, because I didn't want to hear, I mean, I want to hear his thoughts obviously, but like I wanted to listen to it first to get my ideas out. And when I first listened to the entire album, and I listen top to bottom, I don't skip when I first like live with this album. I go top to bottom because that's how the artist wanted you to listen to it. There's a reason why they have certain songs in certain places. I mean, and then there's other people who don't, but like most times there's a story, or there's just something in there that they want you to listen. So when I listened to it all the way through the first time, my immediate reaction was, this is gonna sound so good in a really big, like, venue. So like, I mean, he did more of the outdoor amphitheaters this tour, but like, I was like, this is going to sound so good. Like, you could just hear like the big openings, like the just insane conclusions. Like, so good. I love him. Great work.
Yeah, very excited. I see Louis in November. That's the start of my Louis tour season. But I have seen it. I went to I guess you could call it like a one night only, or it's a 2 night only, really, in Kingston, near London. I went down for sort of those one-off shows and got to hear some of he didn't do every single track, but things like Chicago and Saturdays, Written All Over Your Face live, impeccable. Yeah, so very, very excited for that.
Very good. All right, move on. Okay, so next question is, how do we find new music? I know how I find new music.
Yeah. We might all say the same thing.
Yeah. So I find it by press lists for the Honey Pop, but I also find them from TikTok, actually. My For You page is chaotic in general, because I'm just a chaotic human being. But I have found some really promising new artists on TikTok, and they either don't have a huge following, or maybe they're just like kind of on the rise and they're not signed or anything. But I love just like on my For You page, there'll be like this random song and I'm like, wait, what's this? And I'll like listen to it and I'm like, okay, heck yeah. And I'll either follow them, or I try to write them down because I'll forget. But I found some really good, and it's like bands, it's like within all genres are on TikTok. And so I like, it's very quick snippets too, so I don't have to like listen to a full song sometimes, because I don't have a lot of time. But like, getting that little snippet is really good. And so I found some of my newer favorite artists on TikTok, actually.
Yeah, very similar. I think I would add into their tour openers. Some of my favorite artists are because I found them on tour. So Only the Poets was from Louis Tomlinson's tour. May Muller, who represented the UK at Eurovision, and she's got an album. It's either just come out or it's just about to come out. Very excited to hear that. But she actually, I've known of her music for a long time, because she did one of the LP shows on Veeps with Liam Payne. And I think it was the Halloween special show. And she did some songs, and I think they did a song together, if I remember right. And she was just an absolute vibe from day one of that. Obviously, then following her on socials and stuff, I really like her as well as her music. So it's not really tour opener, but via other artists, I guess. Artists like Mitski on Harry Styles, Wet Leg were impeccable. Obviously, I knew Wet Leg before I knew their music, but definitely more so of a fan now, having seen them open so many times for Harry Styles. They were phenomenal. So yeah, I'd say via sort of press for the Honey Pop, TikTok, surprisingly, apparently Eurovision, because like Måneskin as well, love Måneskin, found them through Eurovision. I'm a big Eurovision nerd. You could quiz me. And then yeah, tour openers and sort of via other artists. Which I think is why I loved so much the fact that so many artists that I am obsessed with are using the platform to help other artists get on the scenes. Me, Louis Tomlinson, surprise. But like the Away From Home Festival, everything he's doing around that, it's just absolute perfect vibes of, I think, when you have come from something like the X Factor as well. Louis talked about this, the fact that it was a lot of luck, when the fact that they were all put together. The success that they got wasn't just luck, it was based on talent, and it was based on impeccable music. But I mean, their auditions weren't great, let's all just be really honest. It wasn't, I don't know if I would have picked them all. So I think the fact that he's come from having quite a lucky start to his career, he obviously had a lot of bad luck then over the career, let's that's for another conversation for another day. But I think he's really making sure now that actually bands who do have to go through a lot of that legwork to get some level of commercial success and get a fandom built around them, he's making sure that he's sort of sharing that platform. And there's so many other artists that are doing that now that I love it. I think more artists need to be taking other newer artists under their wing a little bit, and I guess guiding them through a very difficult industry to be part of anyway, especially at a younger age, but also just amplifying them a little bit. I love it. I think the industry would be a nicer place if more artists were doing that. I think it would be a safer place as well for a lot of people. It's a brilliant direction. It's a brilliant, there's no other way to say that. It's a great direction that it's going in. Yeah, I think that's brilliant.
I find new music kind of in the same ways. The only way that I'd say would differ is through other work that I do. Like working with music artists via Discord has given me a lot of artists that I would have never heard of otherwise. Like when you said Nay Muller, I don't know if you saw my face. She's not my client, but one of my coworkers' clients at work. So I was like, that's crazy. Very, very recently have become a pretty big Noah Khan fan. I had never heard of him before. And I wound up picking him up as a client, or like his like label and his server up as a client, and talking to some of his fans that were like mods of his server, and they were like, what kind of music do you like? And I started talking a little bit, and they were like, okay, so you probably like Noah. And I was like, oh, would I? Like recommend me some songs. And they did, and I'm obsessed. He's also really weird, like in a like positive way. Like he's just a really weird guy. Like he joined the server for like an event, and his role is like daddy. And I was like, all right, buddy. okay, pal. All right. That was like day one of me like listening to his music, and I was like, all right, is this what we're doing? That's been a really fun way to find like new artists. There's a ton of artists that I started listening to because I worked with them in various capacities. I started listening to Girl in Red from working on her server, and which obviously, you know, everybody knows who Girl in Red is, especially being queer. Like obviously I know who Girl in Red is. Like I'm a queer femme-aligned person, like obviously, but I just like her personality, her music. Like I wound up becoming a Girl in Red fan, like from working on that. And that's just that's probably one of my favorite ways to find music, because I like working on things that I care about and am passionate about. I have some clients that I don't listen to at all, and I just find myself not really caring. Not okay, hold on, that's bad. Not like, it doesn't excite me the way that, you know, working on something that I do care about would. So that's probably my favorite way, is being able to fall in love with things that I'm doing for work.
I love that. We're in like quite a unique position with that, and you even especially so. And I always get excited at the Honey Pop when I've looked at press for an artist with a new release or whatever it is, and I've done that in coverage for us. And then another member of the team, a couple of songs later, picked up a press for that person as well, and they get excited by them too. It's seeing sort of rippling effect out into the wider Honey Pop team, who are obviously all music lovers and fans at the heart of it all. So there was an artist I covered a long time ago called King, I don't know if it's Marla, yeah, that's how I'm going to say it, so correct me, she can get in touch and correct us. I covered her quite a long time ago for a song called Call Me Daddy, or She Calls Me Daddy, which is just an exquisite vibe. And another member of our team has just picked up another release from it, and now they're obsessed with her. And it's quite sort of really interesting seeing that domino effect of how quickly new music can spread between a community of fans. I think it's one of my favorite things about being part of such a cool community of a mix of people and fans of different genres and things, is you sort of see the penny drop of different artists for different people, and then obviously we get to tell more people, which it's just sick. I love it.
That, like, I don't know why that reminded me, but
Mm.
it did. Another place I love finding music is music festivals. I love going to a festival, knowing one or two artists and leaving, like finding like 6 or 7 more that I just fell in love with. Went to one in which this was a little bit different because it was an industry like music festival. I'm going to talk about the Gathering for a minute. That I went to in Vegas back in April. April, yes. It was very late April, almost May. Um, but there were some really, really, really talented artists and really, really great artists who I, connected with and wound up falling in love with their style and who they were as people. And that was a really cool experience to be able to find new music like that. Just to name a couple, Remy Riley. Within like the first day of the festival, she and I were calling each other bestie. And like texting back and forth, going, "Oh my God, which event are you going to today? Are we gonna see each other today? Hey bestie, miss you bestie." Love her. She's very, very sweet. She's I think like 19, and she has got a crazy voice. Her voice is just incredible. Some Who else was there? King Falcon. I actually wound up making friends with the lead singer's mom. And I loved her. I loved her
That's such a
so
vibe.
much. She's like their momager, and I just adore her. I freaking love her. We like got to talking, we swapped cards, and then we like the day they performed, we sat together and she gave me I think did she say before COVID? I feel like she said before COVID they had made some like merch. Maybe it wasn't before COVID. Maybe there was some reason why they didn't sell the merch. Like something happened. I don't remember why. Basically I have one of the only King Falcon official tambourines that lights up because they have a
I
song
don't know what I expected then, but it wasn't that.
It wasn't that. They have a song that's like shake, shake, shake your tambourine. And that was one of their merch items that never got sold. And I love it. She brought it to me when like the night they performed, and she was like, "Well, we wanted you to have this because you just took such a genuine interest, like, or like whatever." That day I'd also conveniently gotten a crown tattooed on my ankle. And she was like, "I'm gonna tell the boys that that's for King Falcon." And then we took a picture with them holding my leg in the air, pointing to the crown on my ankle.
Oh, I feel like I've seen this. Yeah.
Yeah, probably. I just fell in love with that band. They're really, really talented. And then Jack Harris was another one. Crazy, crazy talent in that guy. He's got the voice of a man that's been singing for 30 years, but he cannot be older than 21. He can't be. I wouldn't believe it. They also had this Jacob's Castle, son of the lead singer of Sublime that died in 96. Sounds just like his dad. Music style just like his dad. It's crazy. He's really, really good. But that's another. I feel like I just went on way too long about that, but that is one of my favorite ways to find artists. Is
I need to try that. I've never been to a festival.
Highly recommend. It's a vibe.
It's on the list. Yeah.
Definitely bring deodorant though.
Yes.
I mean, this wasn't that kind of festival. It was like it was different, but definitely bring deodorant.
Yeah.
It's rough. It's rough out there.
Stinky.
Okay, so next topic is best music video of 2023 and quote unquote so far. Because we still have a couple months left. I guess I'll start. So this was really tough for me because there have been some good music videos. And then there's just some people that I really, really adore that just haven't had any music videos, or they've just not been as like, they're not as good as other ones, I guess. So my top one so far is I Can See You by Taylor Swift. But for the production value, also the song is a bop and it's a vibe, and everyone needs to go listen to it because it's a vault track on Speak Now TV. Oh my God, that song. I was like, why did we not have this back in the day? Like, this is a good song. Also, I do kind of know why, but because of what it's about. And kind of some of the lyrics are a little, she would have never released that back in the day. But yeah, so I Can See You because Taylor Lautner was in it, Joey King was in it. So she like brought back a bunch of people. Also, I Can See You is about Taylor Lautner, which I think it's hilarious that he's in it. I love that. I love full circle moments. And then Billie Eilish's What Was I Made For? That is a really one is a beautiful song. Like it's just a stunning song, and her vocals are insane. But that music video was just like, it was very simple but very beautiful. Like it just like it fit the song, and I don't know how else to explain it. It just like very just lovely. I loved it. And then Olivia Rodrigo's newest one. Oh my God. Like it was shot on an iPhone 15, which I think is insane. But the editing on it was, I'm just like, how did you do that? Like I can see how you like filmed it on an iPhone. Like I can get it. Like if you start going into settings on an iPhone and that's the only thing you have on there, yeah, you can do it because like you don't have a lot of space on an iPhone. But if you go into like do like raw video and like all these different settings, yeah, I can see how you filmed it. But I don't know how you edited that together. Like it's seamless. So I want everyone to go watch it and just like, even if you don't like her and you don't like the song, just watch the editing. Like you could not see where like the cuts would be. Like I don't know, it's just insane to me. Like if I'm not really a video editor, but if I was, like that is what I would strive to become, is how to edit like that. So those are my three right now.
Amazing. Well, so fun fact, I Can See You was filmed in my city about God, maybe 10 minutes from where, so I technically have an office, even though I work at home, we still have like a base. It's filmed like 10 minutes away from that office. Insane. And I remember it blowing up all over Twitter, the fact that she was in Liverpool, in my city. I live just outside Liverpool, but I go into Liverpool all the time, obviously. And it blew up that she was filming in Liverpool. And yeah, I had a few friends who were big Swifties who were like, should we get the train into the city centre? And I was like, maybe let's not do that, and hover around it. But that was pretty cool to know sort of when I watched that back, and sort of trying to spot things that I recognised in it. It was really cool. Because a lot of stuff, it's such a beautiful city. Like a lot of like the Batman films were filmed here because of the skyline and stuff. So that was really cool to see that with Taylor, and find out that of all the places she'd come to Liverpool to film it, it was just, yeah, that was sick. My favourite music video so far of the year is Satellite by Harry Styles, with Stomper the Robot. I cried over that friggin' robot. I can't even, Hoover, whatever you want to call it. I thought it was so cleverly done. I thought it was a really cool, very different idea from anything else that he'd done, because like he had music for a sushi restaurant before it, which I think artistically is beautiful. I'm not that keen on watching it. It's just too squiddy for me. It's a bit wet. It's too moist. I can't do it.
Same.
Talents, the direction of it, the production of it, I think it's brilliant. I'm not going to say something bad about something that Harry Styles has done, because I'm just not that way, and that's not who I am. But Satellite was very refreshing as the follow-up next one after Music for a Sushi Restaurant. I loved the fact that it had so many little nods to his fans and to the sort of the shared experience we all had at the live shows, because it's one, the last sort of, like, what was it, 2.5 years, best experience of my life, and got me through a lot of the really difficult bits of COVID lockdowns, knowing that I had that to look forward to. There's a lot of weight behind that for, God, probably millions of people, hundreds of thousands at least. So I think having that sort of memorialized a little bit in that video feels really special. The bit at the end where that sodding Hoover thing, Stomphead, dies, don't even talk to me. No. But yeah, I think it was really just a cool idea for it. I hate the fact that I empathize with a machine that much. But yeah, I just think it was really cool. I felt like, because they said something about the fact that it was meant to be done something about the fact that he was sick when he was doing some of the shows that it was meant to be done at, so they had to change their plans a little bit. But they said that they're glad that it worked out like that because they got some of the coolest shots as a result. And I think it's just, and very much things work out sometimes for a reason. And I think that worked out in the best way for that music video. I think it was so cool. I think even the way that, like, he had the two fans running towards each other as if they were just meeting it for the first time at a concert. Because throughout Love on Tour, I had that exact same experience with people that I'd met and then finally met up with. I met online and then met up with at the shows. It's such a special little nod to the fans, and I think that felt really special. So that will go down. Argue at the Wall, I'll Die on This Hill, Satellite by Harry Styles. Yeah.
I love that. Because I also agree. And the fact that a machine made me cry.
Yeah.
I was very upset about that. And also I do agree with the music for a sushi restaurant. Like, it's too fishy for me.
Yeah, I really like music for a sushi.
Yeah.
I really like it. I think it's not that you guys said you didn't like it, but like, I just really like it. I think it's so cute and it's so fun. And I don't even really mind the whole squiddy tentacle thing he's got going on. I think it's so cute.
It's just so different. I like that. I love that it's so different because, like, he's just on another level. He can do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
So the fact that that's kind of what they came up with, I love the fact. It's just I'm not a fish person. So seeing all of that, how it is portrayed in the music video, I'm just like, oh.
I'm gonna say something here as well. It's not the video that I not have an issue with. That's a bit extreme. It's the sound effects they put in the video along with the music.
Yeah, I can't.
It sounds like if you hit a fish against a wall. I don't know. That's the bit that made me go a bit, oh no, I'm not too sure about this. Like the actual parts of it when he did the whale and the actual story behind it of do we want to start digging into all this stuff? But I think the storyline behind it was very clever in the direction of it. But get rid of those like sloppy wet fish noises. Thanks. It's not my kind of vibe.
That's like nails on a chalkboard for me.
Yeah.
It just makes me squeamish. And I'm like, I love you so much and I just want to finish this stupid video. Yeah. But I can't.
It's sort of a very it went with the artistry of the video, and I understand that. And I think that was the intention of the video, it was a very artistic storyline and all that. And I appreciate all of it. I don't particularly love watching it though, regardless. So I'll Spotify it instead. I'll stream it and occasionally do the video because it's the slurpy wet noises. No, it's just not for me. Thank you, Harry Styles. No.
Oh, I agree. Completely.
How many times have I said that? Moist on a podcast? Oh dear. That's not the word that everybody wants to hear.
Okay.
My top music videos. I could not condense it because I have issues. I have 5. Which I feel like 5 isn't that bad. It could be worse. I'll go from bottom to top, so like 5 to 1 because these are in order. Crazily enough. So Roar by The Boys. These are all K-pop. I'm so sorry. These are all K-pop music videos are on another level.
Yes, they are.
They're so good. So good. If this was like 6 years ago, there's one that I would have like held you guys at gunpoint and made you watch because it's like 8 minutes long. It's a freaking movie. But it's not. It's 2023. So let me just Roar by The Boys. Love that music video. Love that song. That song and music video drove me into a hyperfixation on The Boys for like a solid month and a half. It was really good. It was a wow. Groovy by Gravity. I really like that song. I really like that music video. I'll get more into talking about music videos as I go further up because these are just kind of like ones that are like, I guess like honorable mentions is what I'd call them. Groovy by Gravity. That didn't really hit. Not that it didn't hit for me. The song hit for me immediately, but I didn't get into like streaming the music video adamantly until after I saw Gravity live in Madrid. and they sang that song, and I was like, oh, like I got back to the hotel and I was like, oh, like I want to hear that song again. And I like watched the music video and I was like, wow, that's crazy. And then it's a really good music video. I Am by Ive is number 3. There was a whole meme around this song going for the longest time. I still cannot listen to the song without seeing the meme. There's like a big like beat in the chorus, and a lot of people were editing people falling and with a big crashing noise, and so like it's like da 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 boom. I can't hear the song without hearing it, but that song is probably my favorite K-pop girl group release of the year. And then the music video is just really good. It's really futuristic. It's really pretty. My girl Yujin looks really pretty because of course she does. She's beautiful. My number 2 would be Circle by Onu. It's trippy. I love trippy music videos. It's not trippy in the sense of like you feel like you're on, well, no, you kind of do feel like you're on acid. But like in a different way. Not like in the way where you feel like your eyes are gonna roll out of your head, but in the way where you're like, what in God's name is going on in this video? There's a weird cat puppet thing. He's in a children's TV show. He's in a TV. He's in what looks like a hospital hall at some point. Like, he looks like he's in somebody's colon at one point too. It's a really weird music video. The song is beautiful. The music video, the cinematography behind it is gorgeous. It's really, really weird. I love it. I love it so much. Could probably talk about that one for hours. It's so weird. So weird. In the best way. And my number 1, I could talk about this one for a really long time too. My number 1 is Halazia by ATEEZ. The thing with ATEEZ that a lot of people who don't follow them really closely don't realize is that all of their music videos have like an intertwining lore. So it's like a story being told with every release, with every music video. It's like, I feel like 18E, that's their fandom name, I feel like 18E are like Sherlock Holmes with the way they figure out what this is supposed to mean. I learn what the lore is by listening to other people because I'm not smart enough for that. Halazia is really, really like heavy on the lore though, which is something that I think is really cool. There's like a whole thing where someone like pulls a planet down like from the sky, and it's a crazy editing moment. It's just really good. It's just really good, and I would highly recommend it to anyone. It's really, really, really good. Cinematically beautiful, songs absolutely gorgeous. And the lore in their music videos is just really, really cool. I'm done.
Awesome. Yeah, I didn't put any K-pop on my list because I knew you had that covered. So because the K-pop music videos are just insane. Like
they are.
I'm a baby K-pop stan, and just every single time like y'all send me a music video to like watch, I'm just like in awe the entire time because I'm like, how did they do that? Like, also your budgets like that's an insane budget for a music video, because I'm like, I'm used to like not that big of a budget. Like like you have a decent sized budget for something, but oh my gosh, I could not imagine like how much money they just spend on music videos alone.
Not to mention how they come back with new music and new music videos once every like 3 to 6 months.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane. It's crazy. I mean, like, ATEEZ put out Halazia on New Year's Eve last year. They put out Bouncy in June, so that's a 6-month gap from one to the other. Trying to think of who's had Gravity put out Groovy back in I think March, and then literally just had another comeback like last week. Kibum had a comeback in February, had another one this week with Good and Great. Like, it's just, how do they have that budget? How do they do that so consistently well in such short like periods of time? It's crazy. It's crazy.
Is gonna be accessibility in music. And that is a good topic for Miss Jen over here.
So I say Jen's rubbing her hands together. Like,
yeah, I want to give you the floor to where you can talk your heart away.
And this is, I think, a topic that I'm annoyed that we have to discuss a little bit. I think it's an important topic. I was actually having a discussion with another fan on Twitter earlier today about this exact topic. It's something that disabled people deal with in every single part of life, but I think there's a specific issue within live music and just generally within fandom, but especially within live music. So I have a disability. I have a couple of different health conditions, including something called POTS, which I'm not going to go into. You can sort of, if you're interested, you're welcome to Google it. And if people have questions, I'm very open about it, but not the point of this. But so there's so many different types of disability, and the live music industry maybe has made some improvement, but it's got such a long way to go around accessibility for disabled people. I've had very good experiences. I've had very, very bad experiences. There was a tour last year that the way that it works generally in the UK, I can't talk about anybody anywhere else. I know that you've got the ADA in America, in the US. Obviously we've got the Equalities Act in the UK, and it's sort of probably very similar, but still has its differences, especially around sort of the process of how you book stuff. A lot of the time in the UK, you, depending on the type of venue, if it's a big arena or a big stadium, a lot of the time that there will be seating that you book that is either, if you're a wheelchair user, you might need the wheelchair platform. If you aren't a wheelchair user but you have some level of need, you might just need a seat rather than standing, whatever it might be. I found there's issues anyway within that, but the thing I'm sort of talking about within this specific thing, and they are artists that I've mentioned in this conversation already, is artists who play small venues who do not consider access for disabled fans when making plans around their tours. I was at a booked for a tour last year where you had to book a normal ticket. When I say normal, I mean the standard ticket that everyone can get when it's a standing venue. There's one ticket type, you book that, and then you phone up and explain that you have a disability and you need some level of adjustment so that you're able to enjoy that concert the same as everybody else's. And the website, Ticketmaster, thanks Ticketmaster, said it will all be able to be arranged, just contact the venue and tell them you've booked a ticket and that you need X, Y, and Z, whatever your needs are. So I did that. I followed all the instructions. I paid the money. I contacted the venue. I have something called an access card, which is basically for lots of different industries in the UK. It's basically a way that you don't have to completely explain every single thing about your disability or your needs every time that you need to access some level of adjustment. So you can just show them the card or give them the number, and there's like a database and stuff, but essentially they will put those things in place for you. So I contacted the venue and said, here's my access information. This is the things that I need. I will need a seat. Part of the thing of POTS is if I'm stood up for too long, I'll pass out. It happens very very commonly. It's also something that affects a lot of younger women or people who are born as female or assigned female birth. It's a very common condition. So I contacted them and their response was, oh, we don't have any accessible seating. I said, well, what do you suppose I should do then? And the offer that I was able to have with that venue was that they would put a stool in the pit that I could sit on, which is not A, comfortable for me at all in the middle of the pit. B, I wouldn't be able to see anything. They couldn't guarantee whereabouts in the pit that would be, but they could guarantee it would still be in a very busy area. And D, I don't want to be knocked off a stool at a concert. I want to be able to feel safe, and that wasn't safe. I ended up having to fight Ticketmaster to get a refund for that show. It's still an artist I support now. I'm not saying that every artist is fully aware of every single thing that happens around the bookings of their tours, but I do believe that they have responsibility to make their teams aware of their intentions when it is their tour with their name on it. The issue that I'm now having is with a band that I've mentioned many times on this podcast already. They're doing a homecoming tour, so they do a lot of like shows around Europe and stuff, like wider Europe, but they're obviously from the UK, and they're doing a homecoming tour, a small couple of venues in quite small venues, a small amount of dates. And the show that they're doing in Manchester, which is the one show that I go to, is on the actual gig is on the top floor of a listed building with no access access whatsoever. No wheelchair access, no disability access. You have to get up the stairs. You have to be able to go up the stairs to be able to enjoy this gig. You will be stuck at the front door. Otherwise, there's no way to get in. The access that they offer for this venue is they will, and this is from the venue's website of the access section, is they will carry people's wheelchairs up the stairs for them, and they will clear the stairs of other people to give them time to get up the stairs. That is not suitable for so many different disabled people. Now, I'm not a full-time wheelchair user, so I probably, to a certain extent, am luckier with this kind of stuff than someone who uses a wheelchair full-time. And I've got plenty of friends of this, fans of this band and other artists, who would have absolutely cannot get up the stairs. They don't, their legs aren't able to function to get upstairs. That is not a viable option for accessibility in live music. The issue further that I have is that the same band have spoken out a lot about accessibility in live music as something that they pride themselves on and they want to push forward, but no action's been taken, even though it's been raised now quite a lot by myself and by other people. The fact that we have no equal opportunity to attend this tour because of the access issues. It seems to be because it's a listed building, a lot of sort of buildings, a lot of people within, I don't know, management of buildings or ownership think that it doesn't apply to them because it's listed, so they don't have to install a lift or whatever it is because it might damage the building. Not true. That's not how it works. They have to still meet the Equalities Act. They have to still give the opportunity for disabled people. It's discrimination otherwise. But I think I'm bringing this up because we've got a platform which a lot of the people who have these issues aren't lucky enough to have. And I guess it's really a call because I'm personally struggling because this is a band I'm a big fan of. I've gone out and seen them multiple times. In previous times, I've had no issue. It's worth saying that it's not a constant issue, but it is very much an issue this time, and I can't go to their tour. It's not always the band or the artist that are going to have every single bit of information about the venues that they've been booked. If they've got a tour manager, whatever it might be. But artists, this is essentially, it's a call out really for artists to advocate for their fans, whatever those fans may be. Make sure it's a priority in your team. Make sure that you're talking to your teams about the fact that this is a priority for you as a band, as an artist, as whoever it is. When you know about issues, let's try and discuss them. I invited this band to have just an open conversation about sort of what the issues are. Nothing came from that. I hope it still does. There is still time. But I think it's a general call of, look, this is an issue. It needs to be more aware that this is an issue amongst the bands and also amongst fellow fans. Look out for other people at concerts. There's a big thing about, obviously, people pass out at concerts all the time. My specific condition is that I pass out all the time. You don't know the people around you, what other needs they might have. Look after each other. Let's just have a more of an open conversation about making sure that disabled people can enjoy live music the same way that other people can. I think it's really important, and it's something I've got an issue with right now, and I could talk about this for hours, and I keep tweeting about it in the hope that it will get through to people who I do believe it does matter to. I don't believe for a second that it's been an intentional thing, but if you're not part of finding a solution and advocating for a solution, then you're part of why the issue exists. And it's a hope and a call out to please consider it more in plans and listen to the voices of the fans who are telling you it's an issue and what you need to do to improve it. And if you're advocating for accessibility around cost or whatever it might be, accessibility is more broad, and actually there are far more barriers in place for disabled people in live music than any other person, any other type of need that there might be around access. That's it. That's my little rant. That's my little serious bit for the end of the pod. But I think it's really important. I think you both know that it really is. It matters to me, but it matters to tons of other people as well who don't always have a platform to be able to talk about it. Yeah, that is my little rant about access and live music. And if a certain band or manager happen to be reading this and think that sounds like us, feel free to contact us, and I'm happy to have that conversation.
Adding on to that, there's a huge issue that I've noticed with venues. Even if they have accessible options, it's difficult to obtain them. They're not very forthcoming about what you need. I am not going to go into too much detail, but I utilize the Americans with Disability Act a lot. I just don't do well at shows, and not like in a sense of like I can't handle being in the crowd, but in the sense of I hurt really bad, to the point where it will be debilitating, and I won't enjoy the show. I will barely be able to walk to my car afterwards. And it's like I've been in so much pain that I've nearly blacked out multiple times at concerts. I went to see a certain group at State Farm Arena in Atlanta. I'm fine with saying who it is. They made me really mad. And I was like on their website, it didn't say you had to book a specific ticket. You could just book a normal ticket. And normally, at least with most of the venues here in Atlanta, if you book a regular ticket and go and tell a security guard, hey, I need a place to sit with ADA, like where do I go for that? And they'll usually just point you and say, okay, go ahead, like here's a seat, sit down. It's not really that hard to get access. You don't have to prove anything, you don't have to show them anything, which I do really appreciate. State Farm Arena, I had sound check for this artist. And I was really excited, but I was already, from having sat in line and stood and walked, I think we probably walked about a mile that day with how much we had done. I was tired, I was hurting. I went to the security guard and I said, hey, I need a place to sit down with the Americans with Disability Act. And they were like, well, the ADA pit is sold out, so you'll have to just make do. And I was like, what do you mean? And they were like, we sell specific tickets for this. And I said, okay, well, I wasn't aware of that. Is there any way we can just move the barricade a little bit and just let me take a seat, or whatever? And they were like, no, I'm sorry, that's not something we can do. If you feel like you're gonna pass out, just come over here, I guess. Or if you feel like you're gonna be sick or whatever, just come over here. And I was like, okay, that doesn't really work, but okay.
At that point, it's too late.
Yeah, like if I feel like I'm about to pass out, or if I feel like I'm in so much pain I'm gonna throw up or something, I'm not gonna want to navigate through a bunch of sweaty teenage girls trying to get to a pit where I can get some medical attention. I shouldn't have to get to the point where I need medical attention.
Yeah.
So I go to the show. I had a great time. I was in a lot of pain. It was really miserable. I collapsed to my knees twice at that show. And then at the very end of the show, I fell to the ground and I could not get back up. I was in so much pain. Security guards came over and they were like, you have to exit the venue. And I was like, you got to give me an effing minute, buddy. Like you're going to have to wait, because I was like, I'm really dizzy. I'm in a lot of pain. I'm not going to make it half a mile to my car right now. Like, I need you to just wait. So he hears I'm dizzy. He calls staff, like the medical staff over. They like put me in a wheelchair and take me to like the backstage of the arena, and immediately it was instant. It was, do you have diabetes? Like, is that why you're dizzy? Do you have diabetes? And I literally, like, even as bad as I felt, I was like, did you just ask me if I have diabetes because I'm fat? Like, is that, why was that your first assumption? Did you just say that because I'm overweight? Like, that's crazy that you just...
If you had diabetes, you wouldn't have said to somebody, I'm diabetic.
Yeah.
I'm not feeling well. You would have led with that part.
Yeah.
The assumptiveness of it, yeah.
Yeah, and I was very offended. Like, not because it's a bad... I mean, it is a bad thing to have diabetes. Not like in a bad... But, like, it's not...
Yeah, it's a health issue.
It's a health issue. Yeah, there we go. I was trying to figure out how to say that wasn't sounding off. Yeah. But like, I was offended. I was like, you just asked me that because I'm fat. That's literally why you just did that. And they were like, well, no, it's just a genuine question. You were dizzy. You weren't feeling good. We wanted to know. And I was like, that doesn't work. If I had been 95 pounds, would you have asked me that question? Like, be honest. Be honest. And they wound up taking my blood sugar. I didn't consent to any of the treatment they gave me. They wound up taking my blood sugar anyways. And when the results from that were inconclusive, they took me to a different med bay where they yanked my shirt up and put a bunch of sensors on my chest. They didn't tell me what they were doing. They didn't ask me if I'd rather have a woman do it. They didn't ask me if I was even comfortable with it or consented to it at all. They just pulled my shirt up for me, stuck a bunch of sensors all over my tits, and told me that my heart looked okay after like a brief like EKG. And considering the fact that I have such severe PTSD from the hands of men in that way, like it was really traumatic. It was a terrible experience. And I never did reach out to State Farm because I could never collect myself enough to deliver the information to them without either freaking out or being really aggressively angry. And it's not going to be some customer support person on the phone's fault, but I can't talk about it without getting mad. Like that concert, I don't want to say the concert was ruined for me because it was still a great show. They're one of my favorite bands. But it was ruined.
The memory, the experience is tainted.
Yeah, it was a terrible experience. And then, oh my God, this also killed me. They kept me in a wheelchair the whole time, and they took me in a wheelchair to the door of the arena and said, you have to walk to your car the rest of the way. Good luck. And my car was half a mile away.
Yeah.
And I had to
visibly where their duty of care stops is at the front door.
Yeah, that was a really, really horrible experience. And
every single part of that experience was avoidable.
Yep. If they had just said, yeah, here's a stool, you can sit at the back because other people bought these tickets, would have been fine.
Make the process clearer for when you book it. And then you don't have to go into it. It's I feel what you said about sort of being a bigger person, because I don't look like I have a disability. If I'm not using some sort, I do have mobility aids. Don't regularly take them to concerts because I always make sure I've got a seat. But I think when you go into an accessibility section of the concert, not looking visibly disabled, but being a fat person, the assumption sometimes feels like it's because you're a bigger person that you can't have been in the pit. And it's something I feel very, very self-conscious about because you see comments on Twitter. You do. And I'm all over Twitter. I love Twitter. Twitter, let's be clear, I'm calling it Twitter. I'm a big, I love it, but there is so much work to be done amongst fans who will very quickly cheer for inclusive language. They will cheer for, as they should, as it should be the norm, of holding people accountable, holding artists accountable, whatever it might be. Don't hold themselves accountable over very certain things. And my personal experience is that disability and invisible disability is one of the biggest things that is pushed to the side when there's those kinds of conversations happening. And it's as a disabled person, you feel very naturally self-conscious about a lot of things anyway, even if it's just that you don't know how it's going to work when you get there. You've got to explain yourself to a member of staff, whatever it might be, or you're getting side-eyed by someone in the pit. It can be a very uncomfortable situation anyway, but there's so many things that could make that better that aren't being done by peers in the fandom, by artists and their teams, and by venues and venue staff. And it needs an overhaul because I'm tired. I'm tired of having the conversation. I'm tired of having to fight for refunds when it's all gone wrong. I'm tired of having to hear stories from my other friends like you, Ibby, of similar experiences. It's not rocket science. It's not going to take that much to fix, in my opinion, but the conversation has to be had. And the conversation has to be willing to be listened to. And I don't always feel like that is the case, even in artists and teams that I will always still class myself as a fan of. But they can do better, and fans deserve that they do better at this point. That's my sort of last little penny on it, but I completely appreciate the experience you've had, because it's so many people's experience, but it could have and should have been prevented at the very earliest. The second you were trying to book those tickets, all of that was set in motion. And it can stop people ever going back to a tour. And it's such a massive industry. People in this industry were out of work for so long. We've now finally got the whole thing of it back. It's something that so many people enjoy. It's something they look forward to. It's a great part of people's mental health. It gives them something to aim for and achieve. And it can be all sort of sent to shit very quickly for a disabled person based on the day one experience of booking that ticket and every day following on that. And I just, for me, for you, for any other person, I just hope that they do better and that they have the conversation with the people. Don't take the sort of direction from it from the likes of a dude in a suit sat at Ticketmaster who thinks that he knows how it should work. Go and speak to the people who are experiencing it and who are essentially supporting you to get to the point that you're at now. If fans, there's a lot of talk about sort of the importance of fans, the importance of fandom, and how we wouldn't be here without our fans. But is that just fans who don't have disabilities? Because sometimes that is how it's starting to feel. Let's get it fixed, and I will continue to shout at a wall about this until it is resolved, because I'm disabled, but I'm not. I don't like to sort of as disabled. It's not the same thing, but I have less barriers than other disabled people. And if I'm having such a bad time of this, and I have a platform where I can talk about it and I feel comfortable to talk about it, how many people are sat at home heartbroken because they can't go and see their favourite artist and can't go to a tour because there's just no thought given to them. And it's for us, but it's also for everyone else who wishes that they could say what their experiences are and what they need to see change as well. Bit more advocacy for disabled fans, please, is the be all and end all of my little rant on it.
Also, half the shows here, if they have VIP packages and it's a pit show, you can't get the accessible ticket with the VIP package. You have to buy 2 separate tickets where you get the VIP and you get the accessible ticket, and that is an absurd amount of money.
I had the same experience with Harry Styles on Love on Tour. I got like a catering VIP package for me and my sister, and it only came at pit tickets. It wasn't available for access or seats, and it ended up I bought the Love on Tour, one of the more expensive tours that there's been. Bought an additional ticket so I could have a seat because I knew that I couldn't get through that tour because nobody was responding to me, and it's
ridiculous.
The logic being that someone with a disability wouldn't be doing VIP, so it doesn't matter. What is the logic there?
Doesn't make any sense.
There's no logic at all, because if they wanted to make this easier, every venue would have an ADA seat option. Every single venue would. You wouldn't have to call the venue itself to say, hey, by the way, I bought this ticket, but I need the extra assistance or ADA or whatever it is for that specific venue. They would already have the option. Like, if they want to make it real simple for each venue, streamline it. Have an option that someone can purchase the ticket. It's not any more expensive. It's the same ticket. It's just like you have whatever it is that is needed, it's flagged that, okay, this is either a section of seats, this is something, and then you can then contact the venue for very specific circumstances or whatever. But you already have the first step of buying the ticket, which is how you get to a tour anyway. It's already started. The chain has started. The fact that they don't have that for every single venue is a disservice, because now the venue staff, who might not be aware fully about certain things because they're young people, like, because a lot of venue staff are very young people. They're in high school, they're in early college, they might not understand, and now you're putting it on them to have to navigate an issue that they don't fully understand
and deal with any upset or anger. I mean, if the big senior execs of these companies or these venues or Ticketmaster or whatever it is aren't personally bothered, and they're clearly not doing any disability training, we can't imagine the fact that they're sort of temp employees, younger employees, that they're investing any time in training them on how to deal with it either. So it's a vicious cycle then. I don't care how small your venue is. If you are saying that you can't put a couple of seats in the corner, you are lying. And you just don't want to have to care, and it's easier. And we're not accepting that anymore. That's not acceptable. It's 2023. It's not been acceptable for a long time. But with the return of concerts and the TikTokification That's what the TikTokification of tours and concerts. It's in the limelight. It's not good enough anymore. Fix the issue. And if you don't know how, ask the people who do, because the fans know exactly what needs to happen.
Yeah. Even my small venue that I go to a lot, and I've been going to for over a decade, they don't have seating, like true seating. It's a GA, like it's just a room. Like there's nothing in there. But I have noticed over the last 2 years, since shows have come back after COVID, they have had a specific section off to the kind of the side of the stage, but you're still like a direct line of sight to it. They have some seats there now.
Yeah.
And when I photograph at that venue, I kind of have to walk through it so I can get to like the photo pit. And I've loved seeing it because I'm like, they're like easy, simple. You have something that's kind of curtained off, or not curtained off, but like a barricade around it to where people can sit down if they need to.
Yeah.
And also
and they won't get booted off their stools, or it feels quite secure. It's sort of the really should be the standard. And while I guess I will scream at a wall about the artists who need to make it more of a priority, I'm going to do the opposite for a quick second and commend Louis Tomlinson, because I've been in the access seating area for multiple of his concerts, especially smaller venue concerts. And that man, without fail, and I know other disabled fans who've had the same experience, makes a beeline for the disabled seating section and acknowledges the people sat there, because they're a little bit further away from the stage. They're not going to get pit interaction. He's not going to jump down onto the barricade in front of them. He will, and I've got so many videos of it, every single show, he will come to that side of the stage and make a beeline and wave or point or flip off or whatever it is the people who are sat in that section. And it's few and far between the artists that do that, but it makes those people feel seen. And it's I'll talk about all the process of booking and the treatment generally from the venue, but when an artist makes sure that everybody there has the opportunity to feel special and feel seen, it's worth people who maybe don't know that happens, because I'll never get over that experience for me. It just made a tricky situation generally just feels that it was worth going through the effort of jumping through the hoops that you had to jump through. It's a shame that those hoops exist, but it's special artists like that it's why he's one of my favorite people in the world, for multiple other reasons as well. But there needs to be more normalization, and I hope that those kinds of artists that do that in their shows also talk about it as well. I feel like I can trust more that is something that is a topic of conversation in his tour team, because of the kind of person he is and the effort that he makes. And you don't see that with I'm sure there's people that I'm not a fan of who do that as well, and I'm not aware of, but it's not as common as I think it should be. That they are just very mindful, I guess is the right way to put it. It's not special treatment, because you might say hi to tons of other people, but it's just inclusion, equal inclusion for different people. And I think that's a really special thing when we're talking about the negativity that exists as well. There is positivity out there. We need more artists like that.
I had a very similar experience with the K-pop group Ace.
Yeah.
I haven't had things like that happen that often. Like you said, it's not very common for people to do that, but I had every single member that night come and squat down on the edge of the stage and wave. They threw things out to the crowd, and they came over with enough for everybody that was sitting in the ADA pit, so that we could pass it to each other. It was just very, very, very sweet, and not something that I was used to, and it meant so much. On that note, speaking of that concert, I know we've been talking about this for a long time, but this is another thing that I feel like it's important to bring up. I don't know how it is with every venue, but there are a lot of venues here in Atlanta. Their ADA pit, you can't see anything from it. The venue where I saw Ace is one of them. The stage is probably 6.5 feet high. So when you're sitting down right next to the stage where they've got the ADA pit, you can't see if they're any further than 2 feet back from the edge of the stage. So I spent the entire concert craning like this, or just not able to see at all. And then the same thing happened. I saw another K-pop group I mean, I don't know why I'm not saying them. This wasn't their fault. I saw P1 Harmony at the Roxy in Atlanta, and the Roxy's ADA pit is right next to the stage, really tall, and a really deep stage. So a lot of their performances are happening at the back of the stage because it's so deep and they have that extra space to move. But when you're cast off to the side right next to the stage, you can't see any of it. So you wind up spending the whole show staring at the wall, just hoping you can see the top of their head at some point, because they're just, the venue just, it's like they put these things and they're like, okay, yeah, that's good. We're good. We'll put them right here. And then that's it. That they're like, all right, good luck. Like,
yeah, that'll do. That's good enough. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, what do you mean? We gave you a seat. Like, you can't see? Is that what you're whining about? Like,
yeah, we ticked the box.
Yeah. Yep. And there's so
And
many
then
venues like that in Atlanta.
what you said then, it's not their fault. It's really, I believe, I'm all for holding artists accountable if they do something wrong. All of this. I think it's really a conscious thing by the artist. I don't doubt that for a second. But when an artist team and sort of tour management are looking at, okay, what venues we're going to book for this tour, they will have a checklist. It'll be, what's the capacity of the venue? Is it available on those dates? Blah, blah, blah. Why is this not part of a standard industry checklist? Can all of our fans who would want to attend this actually be able to attend it? Or will they be sat at the front door of the venue in their wheelchair, enjoying the music wafting out of a window if they're lucky? It should be normalised as part of a process. And I think it's one thing that I think it's worth talking about, the awareness amongst the artists and their direct teams. But I think it's also an industry standard change that needs to be made. You've got checklists for that tour. Why put it on the checklist and normalise it being on the checklist so that more artists get the ball rolling, and we could actually change how this works? Because I mean, we spoke about it for a long time, but it's because we've both had so many issues. We shouldn't be able to talk about it this long. And I think that shows the scale of the issue, and the damage that it does as well. I like the record sign I'm going for a certain band. I've considered whether to not go because I feel so upset by the situation that's happening around access. And I don't want to miss out on the opportunity. I could attend that. I'm still planning to currently. But it makes it a little bit more, I don't know if I'm going to, I feel like I might get upset, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to make them upset. I don't want to embarrass myself. I don't want to make it awkward. But it's something that matters so much, and I want to go and support them at their signing. I don't know. It's a little random thought, but I think they need to do better. And I think if multiple fans are striving to make sure that they are aware of that, I think it should be responded to, and it hasn't been yet. So fingers crossed for you and me and every other person who has some sort of need that this industry doesn't really seem that bothered by.
It also just goes to show that it's a worldwide issue.
Yes.
It's not just specific to a certain country. It's worldwide completely. Yeah.
There's an entire Atlantic Ocean between us, and we've both had very mirrored experiences. Yeah. And across different genres, different sizes of venues, different laws around access. Yeah. It's industry wide, it's worldwide, but it's a particular issue in this industry that, good point. Good point, Brittany.
Yeah. I don't have much to say, unfortunately, but because I'm not, but I do care so much about it though. Like it's something like I even talk about like in my work, like 9 to 5 type stuff. Like when you're building a website, it needs to be accessible. Like, so it's, I talk about it in a different way on a day-to-day basis, but like, yeah, I love that you guys felt comfortable enough to be open, especially on like this platform, and that we even have a small enough, like a little baby platform to be able to like actually talk about it. And hopefully whoever is watching or listening can like learn something new even that they might not have thought about, and now they're going to talk to their inner circle and talk to the venues that are in their area.
Yeah, brilliant. Because I think if we can't get something as simple as a seat at a venue and a decent booking process, someone who needs like a sign language interpreter, what hope do they have with that? Like, it's so it's a disservice they're doing to fans and people involved in the industry. Like, for one of these artists, I actually had the guest list for their show for a previous tour. So it's officially now gone from a guest list for their tour with an accessible seat, all arranged, absolutely excellent, to now this tour I can't even attend whatsoever. And I think it shows the inconsistency in how it's dealt with. Which, yeah, so I've waffled about this far too much. We're gonna have to edit a load of it, so sorry, but that was quite therapeutic.
I'm not gonna edit any of that out, by the way. No, because it's an important conversation. Like,
It is.
Yeah.
It is something that everyone needs to hear, and they need to hear it from the people who are having to deal with this. Like,
Yeah.
I can talk about it all day, but I don't have that firsthand experience of not being able to do what I want to do. You guys actually have that experience, so you can talk about it from the heart. And I think that is so important, because you can hear the passion behind it. You can hear, like, that you guys actually know what you're talking about, and you guys should be in the conversation about this. Like, when people are talking about accessibility, don't just talk to people who have that capability. You need to talk to the people who are struggling with it.
Yeah.
Because then you're gonna get the better ideas of how to do something, or how to how to better accommodate them for all these different venues and different things that you guys should also be a part of. Like, you guys should not be, like, to the wayside.
Yeah.
I think that's so
it's always a fight. It always takes energy, and it's exhausting.
Yeah, you guys shouldn't have to put extra energy into it. You should just be able to buy a ticket and go to the show.
I want to buy the ticket, panic about how I can afford it, panic about what to wear, and then go and have a nice time.
Yeah, that's it.
Not, oh God, can I take medication in? How do I book it? Do I need to phone somebody? Do I need to prove that I've got a disability? Like, do I have to pay more for it? Yeah, thank you for letting me add it on as a topic, but I know I spoke very, very long about it. But...
So that was a great conversation. Lots of things that we talked about. I love that we talked about accessibility. If you guys, like, listening or watching made it this far, thank you so much. Definitely go to your venues and go and fight for accessibility, please, and thank you. Also, if you would like to join our Discord, please do. We're in there for the Honey Pop. I like to plug our Discord because I want more people to be involved, so we can all talk about pop culture and music and everything, because I love it and we love it. But also, in the comments of wherever you are watching or listening, let us know either your favorite live album or your favorite music video. We want to know, like, what you guys are thinking too. And so, yeah, we're really excited, and we will see you guys next time.